It's no secret that Syracuse men's lacrosse turns it up a notch when playing in the Dome. But today, the Orange flexed their offensive muscle in a pretty remarkable way. 8th-ranked SU beat 13th-ranked Georgetown 18-12, blowing the doors off of a former Big East rival. Here at the United States Air Force Academy, they're known for flying. And in number 8 Syracuse men's lacrosse's battle with Air Force, it took the Orange a little bit to get off the ground. But eventually, SU turned on the Jets and soared to a 17-11 win over the Falcons in the first leg of the Colorado spring break trip. I look at a strong 1-2 punch of Billy Dwan and Riley Figueres. Dwan, a towering figure, 6'4", 230 pounds. He's been a fixture in the lineup all the way since back in his freshman season. Figueres, on the other hand, 55 caused turnovers in an orange uniform. That's already a top 10 mark in SU history. John O'Derna typically has a strong defensive unit, and it looks like the case is going to be the same this year. But then we look at the man in goal, and that is Jimmy McCool. And for most of the year last year, he was McCool as a cucumber. He was benched earlier in the season in the Harvard game, but then bounced back in a big way, played well in a big game against Notre Dame, had a career-high 20 saves. He could take a big leap this year. Well, today's game was a measuring stick for Syracuse women's basketball. We knew this team was in the upper half of the ACC, but the exact ceiling was unclear. It turns out that ceiling is pretty limited, and while it's been a quality season, today showed that SU isn't quite in the top tier of the ACC. And don't forget about that 20-point loss to Duke earlier this season as well. And while the last few weeks have had some fans thinking the Orange could compete for a conference title and maybe even win multiple games in the NCAA tournament, I say let's pump the brakes.
Entering the final game of the regular season, Syracuse women's soccer wondered if a second ACC win would be in the cards. And well, the Cuse had the deck stacked against them, losing to number 23 North Carolina 4-2.
Well, let's move to the court, where watching Syracuse women's basketball this season has been like going to a middle school band concert. You're just waiting for something to go wrong. However, once in a while, they hit the right note and make some beautiful music. I'm not a huge fan of the hypotheticals. You know the saying, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have Merry Christmases. Well, Sam, I think it's starting to, but the truth is Shea Vanderbosch on this Syracuse team is like a Bugatti in a trailer park.
Syracuse men's lacrosse has long competed in the same areas of the country. States like New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey have been hotbeds for the sport.
But for this year's spring break, it's a change of scenery. The Orange are out in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado for 2 games against Air Force and Denver. The getaway allows SU to build some team chemistry. The great Kobe Bryant once said, "Heroes come and go, but legends are forever." And in the almost 30-year history of Syracuse women's soccer, there may be no greater legend than its current goalkeeper, Shea Vanderbosch. And it's a part of the reason why Syracuse was unable to ultimately make the comeback and close that game out. But I do love what Darius brings to this team, and you can talk about the field goal percentage today was excellent. But I just look at the eye test. She's a player that seems to just float up the floor. She's always playing with her eyes up, and she plays with confidence. She has the clutch gene as well. You talked about that Cal game earlier in the season when she was a hero hitting the game-winning shot. I love what she brings to the table. She's the best ball handler on this squad, has a ton of confidence handling the rock, a 3-level scorer, and a big-time addition to this offense, but didn't shoot enough, wasn't quite as aggressive as she should have been in the fourth quarter today. Syracuse superstar Joey Spallina had been silenced as of late with just 1 goal in his past 2 games. But today, in a rivalry that dates back over 100 years, the Magic Man finally decided to pull out another rabbit from his hat. Spallina had 4 goals and 3 assists in 10th-ranked SU's 12-8 win over number 11 Johns Hopkins. His relentless offensive play was one of the biggest reasons for the comfortable win.
What was the overall atmosphere like at the stadium tonight?
It was incredible. There were people up on the hill. It was standing room only in this venue. Lots of people up behind the bleachers leaning on the railings as well. Not an empty seat in the house. And I'll tell you what, it was a little bit hard for me to see in the first half with the amount of people that were flooded around me. But they have signs here on the sideline that say the lacrosse capital of the West, and they proved it tonight. There is a great fan base for lacrosse out here in Denver, and I know that this is a sport that's usually dominated by the East Coast, states like New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Pennsylvania, but I'll tell you what, Colorado has a great fan base for lacrosse. They proved it tonight. There wasn't an empty seat in the bleachers, and they came out and got treated to an excellent game as SU wins by just 1 goal. But the home team, the Denver Pios, gave them all they could handle with a near stellar comeback late in the game.
In your opinion, what was the biggest thing that changed today versus last week when they failed to score in double digits in both games?
Jish, it was easily the unselfishness from Syracuse. And you look at the moment where Billy Dwan scored his first goal. It was a pass on the doorstep to Finn Thompson, who could have easily put it home, but he opted to pass it to the long pole. And Billy Dwan said in the postgame that he was yelling so hard for the ball, and he finally got it, and he put it home. And it's those types of goals, the goals from the long poles, that really get the bench energized. And I thought that his contributions offensively were great. And then Joey Spallina, especially showing the vision that he did in the first half. 3 assists in just the first half alone. I thought he was excellent in finding the other scorers on this team. And then he got his, don't get me wrong, 4 goals to his name as well. So I thought the unselfishness from SU's attackers today were a big reason for the offensive success.
You can feel the madness. Did we just see what we think we just saw? Wow!
March is here. The long and winding road that took us through preseason practices, non-conference clashes, Thanksgiving tournaments, and eventually ACC play has finally led us to what really counts, the postseason.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
For Syracuse women's basketball, it's been a remarkable turnaround from 12 wins last year to 22 this year.
Absolute annihilation again by the Orange over the Eagles. Syracuse sweeps the season series against Boston College and takes this going in the ACC tournament by a final score of 90-65.
But the Orange still aren't a shoo-in for the big dance. They'll have to prove themselves this week at the ACC tournament in Duluth, Georgia. SU is the 7 seed, meaning the Orange get a first-round bye. They'll face the winner of 10 seed Cal and 15 seed Wake Forest. Syracuse beat both teams in the regular season, cruising past Wake and surviving triple overtime against Cal.
And Syracuse, after surrendering a 20-point lead in the third quarter, comes all the way back to win in triple overtime. 90-87, your final from the Dome. The Orange's first win in program history over the Golden Bears.
While Felicia Leggett-Jack and company will like to take things one game at a time, it's hard not to take a glance at the potential next opponent, which is 2-seed Louisville, who handled the Cuse in the regular season.
The highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows here in the Dome. The first and fourth quarters were the decider here for Syracuse women's basketball in what could have been an immense win for the Orange against number 6 Louisville. Turns into a 19-point loss, 84-65. The Cardinals hand the Orange their first loss in over 2 weeks.
It's been a productive season for the Orange, but all the success goes by the wayside at this time of year. Teams aren't remembered for what they do from November to February. Legacies are built in March. Cole Purvis, Z89 Sports.
With 7:33 to go in the third quarter, 41-28, Syracuse on top of Howard. Hennigan will trigger it in. Bounce pass inside to Thomas. Tries to get around Burrows. Puts it up through the trees. Missed it. Isajay went for the rebound. However, it's off her hands, and it'll stay with Howard. So a little bit of trouble controlling the basketball for Syracuse. Howard will get another chance to strike. Hennigan to inbound from underneath the hoop on the left side. Bounce pass to Thomas. Same play as last time, and this time Thomas cashes in. A spin and the score as the shot clock was expiring. Here's SU the other way. Layla Filia in the short corner. Fires to Velez. Left wing three. Off the front rim. Won't go. Hennigan the rebound. Nobody in front of her. She'll take it coast to coast. Up for the layup, and it's good. Ariella Hennigan for 2. 41-32. It's back to a single-digit deficit for Howard. 7 minutes to go in the third. Here's Burrows at the free throw line. Puts the ball on the floor. Drives inside and scoops it in. Sophie Burrows responds. 43-32. 6:50 to go in the third. Hennigan refuses the screen. Drives down the left-hand side. Tries to find a bounce pass inside to Durant, and it's knocked out of bounds. Nice job by Syracuse getting the hands in the passing lanes. It'll stay with Howard.
Howard an 8-2 run, and you could feel it in the air. That Bison bench is fired up right now, more than they have been all game, and especially head coach Ty Grace.
Here's Zanaya Thomas in the left corner. Driving inside on Burrows. Couple of fakes. Goes up for the shot, and she is fouled. Hacked on the arm on her way up. The shot was well short. But the leading scorer for the Bison will head to the line to look to cut this deficit. 43-32, Syracuse on top. 6:38 to go in the third.
This offense just runs through Zanaya Thomas. She's not necessarily ball dominant, but when she's got it in her hands, you almost know for sure that that ball's going up.
Zanaya Thomas puts the first free throw up, and it rattles in. Spent her first 2 seasons at Kentucky before coming to Howard last season. Was an all-MEAC defensive team member last year. Second free throw is off the front rim, no good. Syracuse the board. Angelica Velez has it at the block S, and there's a collision down in the paint as Izoje knocked Thomas to the ground. That'll be an off-ball foul, or it might have gone against Howard, we'll see. Did go against Howard. So Syracuse ball. Velez will trigger it in underneath the basket. Fires it top of the key. Out along the perimeter to Felia. Felia gets a Burrows screen. Attacks hard with the left hand. Gets inside. The layup is good. The hoop and the harm for Layla Felia, finishing through contact. And the Texas transfer will go to the line to look to finish off a 3-point play.
Layla Felia has just been so stellar today. Dominique Darius has been a little bit quiet on the offensive end, but picking her right back up is Layla Felia all night long.
Felia's jumper rattles in. She had a team-high 13 points in SU's loss against Michigan the other day. She was formerly a member of that Michigan squad before transferring to Texas. Here's Emma Nukwe. First time we've said her name on the afternoon. Kicks it to Stewart on the left wing, inside to Thomas. Sees 2 defenders, kicks it out. Stewart, shot fake on the 3, pull up from the elbow. That's off the front rim, and Izoje scoops out the board. Outlet pass to Shai Hawkins, who will slow things down. To the corner, Velez. Inside on the right block to Izoje, who makes a nice up and under move and cashes in off the square. 48-33 with 5:50 to go in the third. Stewart guarded tightly by Velez. Maneuvers to the right wing. Now Burrows trying to poke it away, and she does. The ball is on the floor. Nukwe fighting for it. It's a jump ball, and the possession arrow will go the way of the Bison. 48-33, 5:38 to go in the third quarter.
This game just gets grittier and grittier as we go along.
Stewart has it on the right wing. It's poked away by Velez. Stewart retrieves it. Nice back cut by Nukwe. Kicks it out. Rather, this is Nukwe. Bynum Johnson for 3. It's blocked by Izoje. Izoje got a paw on it, and Syracuse the other way. Hawkins hands off to Felia. Inside Izoje in the high post. She'll back it out. Kicks to Hawkins. Puts it on the floor once. Kicks to Felia, who's got the floater up, and she buries it. Layla Felia penetrates inside and puts up the floater to get to Syracuse to a 50-33 lead with 5 minutes to go in the third. Here's Stewart. Tries a dribble handoff, but Felia intercepted it. The ball is on the floor. Both teams battling for it. Stewart has it back. Drives with the right hand, fires a pass. Right wing 3, Nukwe, in and out, won't go. Thomas, the offensive rebound, puts it up through traffic. That's no good. Nukwe gets another offensive rebound for the Bison, and she is fouled on her way up and will head to the line. A 7-0 Syracuse run over the last 149, and a timeout is called by Howard. We'll take it to 50-33. Syracuse on top with 4:41 to go in the third. You're listening to Syracuse women's basketball on your Central New York sports leader, Z89.